Dobry dzień, jak się masz? I'm Pavlina, host of Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 11 a.m. for a bilingual hour of Ukrainian music, folklore, and factoids for the culturally curious. And at 12 noon, join Oksana for Nash Holos Ukrainian Hour, here on CHLY 101.7 FM. And from the other coast of Canada, that was the Kubasonics from their CD Kub Funland. And of course, they're originally from Edmonton, but have been in Newfoundland for a few years and educating that part of the country about Ukrainian Canadian culture. And that, again, was from their CD Coop Funland, and that was Kozak. Добрий день, шановні радіослухачі, та вітаю вас всіх на радіопередачу «Наш Холос» радіо українського коріння, яка подається вам сьогодні, так як і кожній середи з 11 до 13 години на хвилі CHLY 101,7 FM у місті Nanaimo. При мікрофоні цю годину я Павліна, а наступну годину буде з вами Оксана. Дякую, що рішили перебути з нами наступних 2 годин. Ми маємо дуже цікаві новини на сьогоднішній програмі. Hello there and welcome to Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio, coming to you on CHLY 101.7 FM in Nanaimo. I'm Paulette Demchik-McQuarrie, po-ukrainske Pavlina, and I'll be your host for this first hour. Oksana will be along at 12 noon to host the show in Ukrainian. I'm delighted to have you with us. We've got a great program lined up for you. On Ukrainian Jewish Heritage, we have an interview with the Director of Communications for Ukrainian Jewish Encounter, which is a sponsor of the series, and she'll be helping us navigate the information-packed website of UJE. As well, we've got a blast from the past and a little bio of a famous Ukrainian-Canadian entertainer. As well, we've got our usual proverb of the week, other items of interest, and great Ukrainian music. And coming up next, a group called Darko and Slavko. It's a duo. They're no longer together, but they did put out about 3 albums when they were back in the 80s and 90s. And here they are now with a traditional Ukrainian folk song done in a kind of contemporary jazzy format. It is called Tis Lyubov Subi ne Żartuj, which translates as Don't Laugh at Love.
Почує серця зов, як заграє скорше кров, не турбуйся і не лякайся, бо це любов. А любов це річ дивна, незбагнута, чарівна, і опертися в неселі. Ні ти, ні я, з любові собі не жартуй. Із моїх почувань не шуткуй, бо що сталось мені, може статися тобі. І за це ти мене не винуй, бо не знати години ні дня, як в один такт заб'ються серця, не поможе тоді вже бо не знати години ні дня, як в один такт заб'ються серця, не поможе тоді вже ніщо, ніхто тобі, як до тебе любов завіта. Бо що сталось мені, може статися тобі, і за це ти мене не винуй. Оце любов, а любов це річ дивна, незбагнута чарівна, і опертися в веселі, ні ти, ні я, без любові собі не жартуй, з моїх почувань не шуткуй, бо що сталось мені, може статися тобі, і за це ти мене не винуй, бо не знати години ні дня, як в один такт заб'ються серця, не поможе тоді вже ніхто, ніщо тобі, як до тебе любов завіта. Бо що сталось мені, може статися тобі, і за це ти мене не винуй.
Ви слухаєте радіопередачу «Наш Холос» радіо українського коріння на радіостанції CHLY 101.7 FM у місті Nanaimo. Говорить Павліна. You're listening to Nash Holos, Ukrainian Roots Radio on CHLY 101.7 FM in Nanaimo. I'm your host, Pavlina. And now for a look at Ukraine's rich Jewish heritage, then and now, brought to you by the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter based in Toronto, Ontario. The Ukrainian Jewish Encounter is a Toronto-based non-profit organization which has sponsored the series Ukrainian Jewish Heritage here on Nash Holos since 2013. This series of vignettes, cultural capsules, and interviews has opened a vast window on this hitherto little-known aspect of the Ukrainian experience. For over a decade, the UJE has been supporting a variety of well-received projects to advance understanding between Ukrainians and Jews. These activities are carried out in a highly collaborative manner, utilizing networks of experts and respected institutional partners and building on existing initiatives. Natalia Fedoschuk is Director of Communications for the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter, and she joins us now to talk about the chronicling of their outstanding and prolific work on UJE's comprehensive website. Natalia, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, this is a huge website. There is just so much there, and it can almost be intimidating to navigate it. So I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind maybe going through it with us. I know it's audio. It's harder to do an audio than video, but I think just a few things to keep in mind when we're at the website and how we can find things that we're looking for or look for things that we would, be interested in pursuing.
Okay, so first of all, because we are on audio, it will be harder for people to imagine the website. So the address is ukrainianjewishencounter.org. And when this website was being developed, it has gone through several stages. And today we really see it as an archive on Ukrainian Jewish affairs, which highlights not only the work that Ukrainian Jewish Encounter does around the world, but also the very interesting facets of Ukrainian Jewish relations. So if we look at the website itself, again, ukrainianjewishencounter.org, and you go to the homepage, there you will find the latest posts that we have on the site. And we try to post 2 or 3 times a week, depending on the season of the year. And immediately you'll get a sense of the flavor of the articles and the topics that we look at. UJE is a non-political organization, so you won't necessarily see a lot of politics there, but sometimes those politics do intersect with the articles that we have. So on About Us, you see our mission and goals, what we do. We have a click for a shared historical narrative, and the shared historical narrative has been going on for a number of years now. And that idea behind it is to bring together scholars from around the world to talk about different periods of the Ukrainian-Jewish relationship. Both Ukrainian and Jewish scholars are involved in these studies to find a shared narrative.
Yeah, and I'm seeing on the website the events and sponsored projects and news and so forth. And one of the things, speaking of shared narrative, is a recent museum opening in Lviv, which originated in Canada and has now been expanded. It's gone up from antiquity to 1914 up to 1939. It's there, and so this shared historical narrative is moving around the world, and you can track the progress on the website.
Yes. If you click on to, let's say, the Discover section, this talks about what initiatives UJE has supported. And, of course, this exhibit is one very important initiative. The Lviv exhibit is a shorter version of the Canadian exhibit, but it's a tighter focus. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, because it is in Ukraine, it also highlights Jewish Ukrainian life in Western Ukraine and even more specifically in Lviv. If you go through other initiatives that have been very important for UJE, we sponsored at the 75-year anniversary of Babin Yar, we had a very large commemorative program in Kyiv, and you can read about that program there. You can also see videos of a concert that was sponsored at the National Opera of Ukraine by the Hamburg Symphony. You can read about the sort of a day-by-day roundup of a symposium that we sponsored. You can also see a series of interviews that appeared on Canada's Contact TV before this commemorated year and different aspects of Babin Yar. And very importantly, you can hear the voices of those people who participated in this commemoration. Another important UJE initiative has been the Sheptytsky Award, created to recognize the work of Metropolitan Andrei Sheptytsky, who was the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church leader before World War II up through the war. This is somebody who really emulates kindness and goodwill. The Metropolitan hid Jews in his residence at a very difficult and dangerous time, and the Jewish Confederation of Ukraine wanted to recognize the Metropolitan and created this medal. And then UJE joined forces with the Confederation. And so a number of individuals have received this award in recognition for their work in bringing about Ukrainian Jewish understanding and cooperation. So there you can read about the shared historical narrative, the exhibits that we have had, and our outreach. And, you know, the outreach is an important part of our work. We participate in book fairs and in different conferences. We work with Limud FSU, which is an organization that brings together Russian-speaking Jews. And these are primarily younger people. So there we're able to talk about the Ukrainian Jewish experience as well.
Right.
An important part of UJE's work is publication. And we have supported not only the publications in and of themselves, these are Jews and Ukrainians, A Millennium of Coexistence, written, authored by Professor Paul Robert Margochi and Professor Yohanan Petruski-Stern. We also have a recent publication by Alti Rudal, which is actually a catalog of the exhibit called The Journey Through the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter from Antiquity to 1914. And this book can be downloaded off of our website, both in Ukrainian and in English. We have other publications.
I wanted to just interject here, Natalia, and to tell you that those two books that you mentioned, The Millennium of Coexistence and From Antiquity to 1914. I've been hearing from one of our listeners who lives in New York, David. He's Jewish, and he ordered those two books, and he's been sharing with me some of the revelations that he's been finding, connecting with his own roots and learning so much about his own history, his own family background, and actually found a family connection in that book. So these are great books that UJE is putting out. I think definitely they are, best kept secrets or, hidden treasures that you're putting out. So I just wanted to mention that.
I mean, this is one thing that we hear about the publications that UJE has supported, is that people, both of Jewish and Ukrainian backgrounds, saying, wow, we didn't know this, and we didn't know that there's so much interconnectedness between these two people. So that's a very positive development from these publications. Because if we look at, let's say, the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter, Cultural Dimensions, it's a collection of essays that examines the interaction between Ukrainian and Jewish cultures from the 17th century onward. And this book was co-edited by Professor Wolf Moskovich, who is a UJE board member, but is Professor Emeritus of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and Mrs. Rudal, our UJE co-director. But if you go on our website, and an important book here is also Babin Yad, History and Memory. And this is a monograph of essays that looks at Babin Yad before, during, and after the war. And it is a very important book that gives for much fuller understanding of Babin Yad then and now. And many of the works that are there really, this is the first time that they have seen the light of day. You can get a look at the other publications that we have supported as well. And this section will be added to because UJE has supported a number of publications through its work. An important part of our work is also supporting independent media programs. So Nash Holos is one of those. We have also for a number of years supported on Ukraine's Hromadske Radio, the Zustrichi program. And these are interviews that come out of Ukraine about the Ukrainian Jewish topic. These shows primarily come out in Ukrainian, that they're translated into English. So you're able to read the transcripts of those shows on our website. Even if you don't understand Ukrainian, we've started cooperating with Исторична Правда, which is a very important internet publication in Ukraine that looks at historical issues. And there are other programs in the works as well. And you can find these under the other programs that we have supported.
Yeah.
So let me just then go through the culture and history section. So if you look at the Discover page, there you will see we have a wide variety of cultural topics that you can investigate. And some of the supported projects, they fall within these categories, meaning if there's a show that let's say, the Zusrichi program covers and it's a cultural topic, you'll find it in the appropriate category. And, the same with the history section. We also, because we welcome a diversity of voices, we have commentary and analysis on the website, and we also have news. And these are more news-related items that are much more current affairs, and each one of those has its own category there as well. We have, obviously, the event section, which highlights UJE upcoming events, or those events that we are associated with, and then the Contact Us page. The website is both in English and in Ukrainian, and the idea is here so people from different parts of the world can access what has become a very, very rich archive of material.
And it's ongoing. You've got, this is your 10th anniversary for UJE, and I understand you're certainly going to be carrying on and hopefully many more decades of this outstanding work that you're doing.
Yeah. And we also have a Facebook page, and we're on Twitter, and we started Instagram as well.
Oh, great.
So, there are various ways of finding us, and we welcome your feedback.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for giving us this overview of the website, and I definitely encourage listeners to visit the website and also follow on social media. And I have found that following on social media also does kind of help you to navigate the website, because you can find something specifically that gets your interest, and then you can go there and then delve deeper. So very well done project, and thank you again for helping us to navigate a little bit.
Thank you, Paulette.
Natalia Fereschak is Director of Communications for Ukrainian Jewish Encounter. You can reach her and find more information at their website, which I definitely encourage you to visit, www.ukrainianjewishencounter.org. This is Pavlina, producer and host of Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio. Until next time, shalom. Ukrainian Jewish Heritage is brought to you by the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter, based in Toronto, Ontario. To find out more about their work, visit their website and follow them on Facebook and Twitter. Transcripts and audio files of this and earlier broadcasts of Ukrainian Jewish Heritage are available at their website, ukrainianjewishencounter.org, as well as at the Nash Holos website, www.nashholos.com. Ви слухаєте радіопередачу «Наш голос» радіо Українського коріння на радіостанції CHLY 101.7 FM у місті Nanaimo. Говорить Pavlina. You're listening to Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio on CHLY 101.7 FM in Nanaimo. I'm your host, Pavlina.
Добра горілка, будемо пити аж до понеділка, будемо пити аж до понеділка. Сядемо курми, сядемо по 40, вип'ємо кунцю ще й у вівторок, вип'ємо кунцю ще й у вівторок. wypiem horylkę z dzień sobotu. Nanaimo, wypijmy kuncu z dzieju nedelu, wypijmy kuncu z dzieju nedelu. Від понеділка до понеділка, wypijmy kuncu, dobra горілка, wypijmy kuncu, dobra горілка.
From Winnipeg, that was Kolena from their CD Seam, which means seven, and it is their seventh album, and that was a song about godparents, Oi Kumea. Up next is a bit of a blast from the past, a presentation dating back to about 2012 by Keith Perron of PCJ Radio International.
Let's play a game of Trivial Pursuit. I'm going to mention 4 films, and let's see if you can guess what they have in common. I Died 1,000 Deaths, Once a Thief, The Mercenary, and City Slickers. Any ideas? I'm sure the last one gave it away. Let's try it again, okay? The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and finally, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Do you have any idea what all of those have in common? Well, let's take a listen to this clip from the 1950s TV show, What's My Line?
Is it a picture that is a takeoff or a satire on Hollywood life?
Well, no, I don't know if it's a satire or if it's the truth or not.
I think we would have to give him a yes on that, sir. Miss Kilgallen?
Satire on Hollywood life. Well, are you Jack Palance?
Yes! On the count of the Broadway thing, there are 2 pictures, and it's a rather strange thing, I think. It's that 2 of Jack's pictures are currently on Broadway, one within a block of the other. The Big Knife and I Died 1,000 Times.
As a matter of fact, the houses were adjacent, but one has been cremated recently, and it has gone into the hinterlands. I Died 1,000 Times is gone.
Now, there's one thing I wanted to ask Jack to do, because the last time I saw him, I remember very briefly he said something about the way his name is pronounced. Now, how do you prefer to have your name pronounced, and how is it too often mispronounced?
Actually, my name is Vladimir Palahniuk. But
oh, why didn't you tell me?
I pronounce it Jack Palance.
Palance.
How did you happen to pick that name?
Jack Palance?
Yeah.
Oh, it was sort of one of those things, Palahniuk. Nobody could pronounce it. They said, well, we'll call you Palansky, and from Palansky I took Palance. But the name is Palahniuk.
What is the origin of Palahniuk?
It's,
I think that's easier, really.
Ukrainian.
That was Jack Palance. Jack Palance was born February 18th, 1919. His father was from southern Ukraine. His mother was from the Lviv region. Earlier on in his career, before working as an actor, he worked in the coal mines. And before that, he became a boxer. In the late 1930s, Palance started a professional boxing career, fighting under the name Jack Brazo. He won, apparently, 15 consecutive victories with 12 knockouts. At the beginning of World War II, he joined the United States Air Force. Then after World War II, he graduated from Stanford University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in drama. During his university years, to make ends meet, he worked as a short-order cook, waiter, serter-jerk, lifeguard at Jones Beach State Park, as well as a photographer's model. His big break came as an understudy for Marlon Brando in the Broadway production of A Streetcar Named Desire. He eventually replaced Brando on stage in the starring role. 3 years later, he was on the big screen, but only in small parts. The first film that he made was called Panic in the Streets. In the 1950s, Palance performed a number of times on Playhouse 90. He was even nominated for an Emmy for Best Actor for his portrayal of Mountain McKinnock in Rod Sterling's Requiem for a Heavyweight in 1957.
I think almost all actors struggle. There are some who make it big on the first try. Well, that's not the way it was for me. I was in New York in the theater for 7 years before I went into film, so there was a lot of training, a lot of working with other people. When you said that I studied with an awful lot of people, it's not true. Actually, I studied with two different people, both of whom I liked very much, and then a lot of training at Stanford University, where I was in a bunch of plays. And that worked out well because I was in San Francisco. Stanford is 30 miles away. And working with the Radio Corps all of the time. And that was important. That was before the advent of television. So that was good. There was an awful lot of training, and I fell in love with it, and I decided that I was going to New York, and off I went. And fortunately, things worked out pretty well. Got a couple of jobs here and there, and one of them, my first one, I got 2 lines in Russian. You know, I stood out there and said my lines as the curtain was coming down, almost hit me. That's it. That was my introduction to theater.
4 decades after his film debut, Palance won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance as cowboy Curly Washburn. It also co-starred Billy Crystal. When he accepted his award at the Oscars, he really brought the house down with his sense of humor.
And the Oscar for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role goes to Jack Palance, City Slickers.
Billy Crystal. God, I crap bigger than him. Yeah. You know, there are times when you reach a certain age plateau where the producers they talk about you and they say, well, what do you think? Can we risk it? Can we do it? Can we use him? The other guy says, I don't know, let's look at some younger ones. We can make them look older, but this one, you know, it's kind of difficult. They forget to ask that you go out there and you do all these things. Like, for instance, you know, you go out there and you do these No, that's nothing really. As far as the two-handed push-ups are concerned, you can do that all night. And it doesn't make any difference whether she's there or not. Because... And besides, it's a hell of a lot less expensive. Wow. You know, a long time ago, 1949, first picture, 1949, first film. I've been shooting about 2 weeks, and the producer came to me and he said, Jack, my name at that time was Vladimir, but he called me Jack. He says, Jack, you're going to win the Academy Award. Can you believe it? 42 years later, he was right. How this son of a bitch knew. Thank you.
In the 1980s, Palance hosted Ripley's Believe It or Not on ABC television, which is still being seen in syndication in some countries. He also made appearances in the movies Young Guns, Tango and Cash, and Tim Burton's Batman. In the 1980s, Palance was also the chairman of the Hollywood Trident Foundation. He walked out of a Russian film festival in Hollywood after being introduced. Palance said, "I feel like I've walked into the wrong room by mistake. I think that Russian film is interesting, but I have nothing to do with Russia or Russian film. My parents were born in Ukraine. I'm Ukrainian, not Russian. So excuse me, but I don't belong here." Palance was even awarded the People's Artist Award by Vladimir Putin on the occasion. However, Palance refused the title. One of his most interesting projects was working as a singer. Well, not a professional singer. He was known during his film and television career to sing on the set. So in 1969, while still busy making movies, Palance recorded a country music album for Warner Brothers. The album was called The Meanest Guy That Ever Lived. It was re-released in 2003. One of the songs that did make it to the top 50 in 1969 was a cover of Burl Ives' A Little Bitty Tear Let Me Down. Here's Jack Palance.
A little bitty tear let me down, spoiled my act as a clown. I had it made up not to make a frown, but a little bitty tear let me down. When you said you were leaving tomorrow, that today was our last day, I said there'd be no sorrow, that I'd laugh when you walked away. But a little bitty tear let me down, spoiled my act as a clown. I had it made up not to make a frown, but a little bitty tear let me down. I said I'd laugh when you left me, full of funny when you went out the door. I'd have another one waiting to wave goodbye as you go. But a little bitty tear let me down, spoiled my act as a clown. I had it made up not to make a frown, but a little bitty tear let me down. Everything went like I planned it, and I really put on quite a show. In my heart, I felt I could stand it, till you walked with your grip to the door. A little bitty tear let me down, spoiled my act as a clown. I had it made up not to make a frown, but a little bitty tear let me down, a little bitty tear let me down, spoiled my act as a clown.
And many thanks to Keith Perron of PCJ Radio International for putting together that little bio of Ukrainian-American author and singer Jack Palance. Vyslухайте радіопрограму Nash Holos, радіо українського коріння на радіостанції CHLY 101.7 FM у місті Nanaimo. Говорить Pavlina. You're listening to Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio on CHLY 101.7 FM in Nanaimo. I'm your host, Pavlina.
Tam na chore kruta beża, tam bez straty cię woda, tam дівчина чорнобрива, хорошая молода, там дівчина чорнобрива, хорошая молода, як погляне бистрим оком, як се мило засміє, то а серцю легші стане, а в козаку серці б'є, то а серцю легші стане, а в козаку серці б'є. słuchają, mi że tymi chorękami jasna ja zorja, mi że tymi chorękami jasna ja zorja, ja sobie hada, що зоря зійшла, а то моя дівчинонька по воду пішла, а то моя дівчинонька по воду пішла, а я за нею, я за зорею, сивим коняченьком понад водою, сивим коняченьком понад водою. Bista voda, peneskjenkes nasi. All the days, three lads, och hammarna frasi. All the days, three lads, och hammarna frasi. Pustite menne och hammarna hisbolja do domu. Och zaplakala, och zatužila, dívčina za mnoju. Zaplakala, pozatužila, dívčina za mnoju. Puštu tebe, ale samohod. Skažu osidlate, konja voronoho. Skažu osidlate, konja voronoho. Stary z молодою, якийсь я годою, стояв старий з молодою, якийсь я годою, і просилася, і молилася, пусти ж мене, старий діду, я те піду, пусти ж мене, старий діду, я те піду.
And a medley of Ukrainian folk songs performed for you there by Mickey and Bunny of Winnipeg. Also from Winnipeg are the Ukrainian Old Timers, and here they are with a Ukrainian version of a very non-Ukrainian song.
Macarena, 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 oi Macarena, 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 ой Macarena. З дебою дівчину називались Макарена, файна собі баба, але груба як парена. Вона дуже грубі, солодка як калина. Ой Макарена, Макарена дуже моцна, вона чисто просто змосна. Макарена зубата, грубата і сраката, висока як трубина, має фігер як горила. Ой Макарена. Взяв її танцювати горяча Макарена, закигнула за чуприном до церкви Макарена, заклала кулку на ніс Макарена. Макарена тепер танцює чача, Макарена український танець. Як умієш, помахай свій пупець, помости червик горячий смалець. It's the official український танець. Макарена, 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 от хльоба у ферма Макарена. Macarena, 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 oi Macarena. З дебою дівчину називались Макарена, файна собі баба, але груба як парена. Вона дуже грубі, солодка як калина. Ой Макарена. Макарена дуже моцна, вона чисто просто змотна. Макарена зубата, грубата і сраката, висока як драбина, має фігур як горила. Ой Макарена. Взяв її танцювати горяча Макарена, закигнула за чуприном до церкви Макарена, заклала кулку на ніс Макарена. Макарена тепер танцює чача, Макарена український танець. Як умієш, помахай свій пупець, помости червик горячий смалець. It's the official український танець. Макарена, 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 ой Макарена. Макарена, 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 ой Макарена. Macarena, Macarena, Macarena. Macarena, Macarena, Macarena. Macarena, Macarena, Macarena. Oi, Macarena. Macarena, Macarena, Macarena. Macarena, Macarena, Macarena. Macarena, Macarena, Macarena.
Cichodenu była z wami Pawlina. Nagадую, ви слухаєте радіопрограму «Наш Холос», радіо нашого коріння. На хвилі CHLY 101.7 FM у місті Nanaimo. Залишайтеся з нами наступну годину. Далі передаю мікрофону Оксані. Запрошую послухати трохи про історію і традиції, розповість Оксана. Але перед тим я хочу залишити вас такими словами мудрості. Часом людина повинна кланятися навіть своїм ворогам. And our proverb of the week translates as, sometimes a person must bow even to his enemies. And that brings us to the end of the first hour of Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio here on CHLY 101.7 FM in Nanaimo. Please stay with us as Oksana takes over the microphone to host the next hour. Meanwhile, please join me here again next Wednesday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon. And until then, do stay in touch with both Oksana and me via our Facebook page and Twitter. In between broadcasts, visit us online where you'll find transcripts, audio files, information about the show, and a link to the podcast feed. And that's at www.nashholos.com. You can also find Nash Holos on Mixcloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and other podcast places, and of course on your favorite podcast app. So stay tuned next for the Nash Holos Ukrainian Hour with Oksana, followed by Wellness Wednesday to learn how to be healthy naturally. And at 2 p.m., join Gord Bibi for 2 hours of great oldies on Groovin' with Bibi G. I'm Pavlina. Thanks so much for listening. Do zустрічі.
Ану, граємо, хлопці!
Hi, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the show. If you're not yet a Patreon supporter of Nash Holos, I hope you'll consider becoming one today, with the digital equivalent of a cup of coffee once or twice a month, or maybe even a snack or a meal. There's an option for every budget, and even $1 a month tells me you value the show and my efforts to produce and bring it to you. Becoming a Patreon supporter will give you the opportunity to provide feedback to help me improve the show, create cool swag to promote it, and swap ideas on how to promote Ukrainian culture in between broadcasts and podcasts. Your contribution will also help to preserve a well-established on-air and online venue of almost 30 years running to continue promoting Ukrainian culture and heritage long after I've retired, which will happen sooner rather than later. Your contribution will help that transition happen, and future generations will be able to enjoy the music and other Nash Holos programming that you currently do. To become a Patreon supporter, just go to www.patreon.com and search for Nash Holos. That's patron with an E, spelled P-A-T-R-E-O-N. Or go to www.nashholos.com and click on the orange Patreon button on any page there. Thank you for listening and for your support. Щиро дякую.